August elections have always been about school bonds or levies, maybe a recall or two, but they've never really been about voter turnout. Yesterday, a handful of school districts, well, nearly two handfuls across the state, held an election. Unofficial results so far show the Valley View levy passed with nearly 56% of the vote yesterday. The Valley School District levy also passed with more than 60% of the vote. Meanwhile, the Castleford School District also got the green light, more than 3/4 of the voters supporting that levy. But what about what didn't pass? Well, let's move a little bit further north. That'd be the Shoshone School District bond, which is different than a levy. Simple way to remember: bonds are for buildings, levies are for learning, to pay for things the state doesn't pay for, like additional staffing, transportation, all paid through property taxes. A bond pays for major capital improvements, and it requires the district to take out debt. And by state law, it needs a supermajority, or 2/3, 66.6%, to pass. And you can see they were 10% shy of that mark. This was a joint election, meaning the district crosses county lines. This one in Lincoln, and then, of course, in Jerome. But take a look at the turnout. 254 Lincoln County voters made the decision themselves. Not a single Jerome County voter had any say on the bond whatsoever. Why? Well, Jerome County mailed ballots to all registered voters in that district, but it's such a small pool, none of those ballots were returned. Andrew Bartline explains why.
The Jerome County Courthouse houses important systems.
A small portion of that information got lost in translation.
Last November, then election supervisor Cy Lutens noticed Jerome's early voting count was short by more than 700 ballots.
It took us a while to figure out exactly what happened.
They fixed the election results, but blamed a computer system glitch.
Can you hear me now?
I think the connection is just really bad.
It's a new glitch they're working through today.
Do you think it's ours or yours?
Controlling one variable and covering
Okay, I think I got it.
a new glitch.
All right.
Well, no wonder you guys vote through mail. It seems like none of the technology works.
State law allows us to send those ballots out. I think if it's 175 voters or less in a precinct.
To be exact, Idaho code says it's 140 voters or less. At that point, the county can ask the Secretary of State to make mail-in ballots the default voting method.
We're able to make that determination to send those out in the mail, just because that saves the county a lot of money.
And resources, because the polling location would have more workers than voters.
So we sent 2 ballots, but I think there are a couple other houses. So those people just aren't registered.
Meaning this is no glitch.
Or nobody turned their ballots in?
It's up to the Lincoln County voters.
254 votes counted, 254 voices heard.
I don't know how.
Ironically,
The mic's not picking you up at all.
through the woman we can't hear.
What's the laptop? Let me.
Lincoln County Clerk Cindy Sievers.
Oh, I had work on top of my laptop.
Work that says the Shoshone School District bond election is hers to manage,
So the home county is always responsible for all the results.
where normally the system calls on Cindy to gather the Jerome numbers, if there were any.
Odd years, there's always a smaller turnout, anywhere between 20-25%.
In Lincoln County, that's on par with this year's turnout, even when jointed with Jerome in a sample size comparatively small.
Everything went pretty smoothly.
So the only issue, I guess, seems to be your webcam, huh?
Yeah.
Good day for technology. Here on the 208, 0 for 2 on functional Zoom calls. But to be clear, a mail-in precinct does not mean that is the only way to vote. Those 2 Jerome County voters living in the Shoshone School District could have chosen to vote at the courthouse, where it is open for people to show up and vote. You can register to vote there as well. Now, in the event someone that Brian gets that mail-in ballot, they fill it out, mail it in, and then they show up to the courthouse again because people are concerned about people voting twice.
Right.
Whichever they get first is what they're going to count. Cy Lutens says the computer system does not allow somebody to vote twice. They'd say, we got your mail-in ballot. Tough. You already voted.
And even if they didn't get it until the day of, there's a canvassing process where everything's certified. They go back and look and say, okay, wait, this person voted twice. Throw one of those out. Whichever came in first, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and in this event, didn't vote at all.
Yeah,
So
easy to do, easy to count.
Jerome
even
had
when it's 2.
no say in the Shoshone School District, and of course it didn't pass, failed by 10%.
It is interesting with this talk of, voter, I should say election fraud and that kind of stuff, about the worry of mailing ballots out. There are a number of counties in Idaho that do this because of the access and the fact that they're so big, people are so spread out, they can't just go to these precincts.
Well, very specific precincts. If there's less than 140 people, you can legally do it. If the Secretary of State signs off on it, what are you going to do? Have a poll that has 10 people working it when only 5 people show up? It doesn't seem like very effective. They said this saves money and seems to work.
There's also the other side of that. When people complain about property taxes and nobody shows up to vote whether or not they want to increase those property taxes, it says a little bit as well. All right, thanks, Andrew.